back, friends. We will see now the manufacturing processes in which we will see the part metal forming processes. Metal forming, large set of manufacturing processes in which the material is deformed physically, plastically to take the shape of the die geometry. The tools used for such deformation are called die, punch, etc. depending on the type of process. Plastic deformation. Stressed beyond yield strength of the workpiece material is required. Categories: bulk metal forming, sheet metal forming, in which metal we will see in the diagram the metal forming process. Metal forming is given by bulk deformation and sheet metal working, in which we see the parts of bulk deformation, rolling processes, forging processes, extrusion processes, wire and bar drawing. In the sheet metal working, we will see the bending operations, dip or cup drawing, shearing processes, miscellaneous processes. These miscellaneous processes is again watched by stretching. General classification of metal forming processes. It is seen in the diagram of PPT. Classification of basic bulk forming processes. Rolling. Rolling is done in which we see the rolling parts, that is two rollers which are rolling in anti-clockwise direction. The work is fed to in between the two rolls. Force is applied F on both the rollers and the part is drawn in as in applied by the velocity V. Then forging process, in which die there are two dies in which the work is placed in between the two dies and force is applied with velocity V. It is called as forging. Then extrusion. In extrusion, the ram is given, work workpiece is drawn like a paste which is extruded from the toothpaste tube. It is called as extrusion. In this diagram, ram is given by force F and drawn in a round format between the die. The workpiece is produced. Then we can see wire drawing, in which the work is given and the two dies are given like of like shape in the as shown in diagram with velocity V and force F. Bulk forming. It is a severe deformation process resulting in massive shape change. The surface area to volume of the work is relatively small, mostly done in hot working conditions. Rolling. It is the process. The workpiece is in the form of slab or plate is compressed between two rotating rolls in the thickness direction so that the thickness is reduced. The rotating rolls draw the slab into a gap and compresses it. The final product is in the form of sheet. Forging. The workpiece is compressed between two dies containing shaped contours. The die shapes are imparted into the final part. Extrusion. In this, the workpiece is compressed or pushed into the die opening to take the shape of the die hole as section its cross section. Wire or rod drawing, similar to extrusion, except that The workpiece is pulled through the die opening to take the cross section. Classification of basic sheet forming processes. Bending. Workpiece is given in the figure. The punch is given in the figure. Bending die is given and the process is shown in the figure. Bending. Deep drawing. Blank holder, workpiece, die and force of F is given with velocity V. Punch is pressed against the die. It is called as deep drawing. Then shearing. The punch is given with force F and velocity V. Shearing action is done on the sheet workpiece. Then shearing is done in the next figure with velocity V. Sheet forming. Sheet metal forming involves forming and cutting operations performed on the metal sheets, strips, and coils. The surface area to volume ratio of the starting metal is relatively high. Tools include punch, die that are used to deform the sheets. Bending. In this, the sheet material is strained by punch to give a bend shape, angle shape, usually in the straight axis, dip or cup drawing. In this operation, forming of the flat metal sheet into a hollow or concave shape like a cup is performed by stretching the metal in some region. A blank holder is used to clamp the blank on the die, while the punch pushes into the sheet metal. The sheet is drawn into the die hole, taking the shape of the cavity. Shearing. This is nothing but cutting the sheets by shearing action. This is now this is the part we will see the forming processes in manufacturing process. Thank you.